Hello, everyone. This is Sergio Morero, and we're here with another episode of RBL1 Live. We have our next guest up, Cenobio Hernandez, who's head of business development at Phoenix and also one of the advisors and investors at Cap Table Coalition, which we will talk about tonight. So thanks for joining us tonight, Cenobio.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, glad to dive in. For those that don't know, Cenobio is a graduate of Stanford University, has been involved in the startup and venture space, as you would expect from being in the Palo Alto community. Is a business development at Phoenix and has been one of the advisors and investors in Cap Table Coalition. So if you can share with the audience a little bit more about what is Cap Table Coalition.
Yeah, so I guess to really start off, Cap Table Coalition is not like a traditional fund like many of your viewers may have seen. We don't make any money off of the deals that we help facilitate. And we're completely mission driven, with that mission being, diversifying the VC ecosystem and really working to close the racial wealth gap. So how we do that is by a partnership between high growth startups and underrepresented investors. And we ask startup founders to dedicate at least 10% of the round to underrepresented investors. And then from there, we're able to connect them with our community of 400 plus and growing by the day of underrepresented investors. And we're able to kind of fill their round and support them in diversifying their cap table. So we really believe that by creating investment opportunities for Black, Latinx, LGBTQ plus, women, and other investors from traditionally marginalized backgrounds, we can really help them build the generational wealth and get them the attribution for their work to build careers and their own funds when they decide to do so. And just give you a little idea of how far we've gone. We launched in June 2nd, and in just 100 days, it's been over 100 days now, but just on 100 days, we raised over $16 million in capital for 13 startups. And if you do the math there, this really puts us on pace to match a $200 million to $300 million fund. So really excited about what we're doing and the traction we've gotten.
Amazing. And if you can talk about, I know if you could talk a little bit more, because it is a unique community driven approach on how does it work? I know 2045 Ventures, Act One Ventures, Base 10 Partners, Lightspeed are all of Vamos Ventures, are all a part of, and I don't want to miss New View Capital, all a part of the coalition. So how do you guys identify startups to syndicate for, elevate them? If you can share a little bit more color around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's really driven by the community, right? So it really comes from founders that are really committed to diversity and diversifying their rounds and bringing opportunities for underrepresented investors. That's the first way. So founders directly reaching out to me. Members from the community that have connections with founders that are interested in diversifying, but just don't really know how to. And third, by venture capital partners that we have that invite our community to co-invest alongside them. And those are the three big ways that we're really able to connect founders with our investors.
Excellent. And how did you end up being an advisor and investor in Cap Table Coalition? If you can share a little bit more about your story and how it was born.
Yeah, so I'd say that what I'm doing Cap Table Coalition is really a culmination or a joining of kind of my life mission in a bit. If I can go back a bit, I was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas, from immigrant parents that came from Mexico. I worked hard in school, but I was also fortunate to have the access to teachers that believed in me and supported me throughout the process. And I got the grades, but I also got the opportunity to be accepted in Stanford, where I got access to a great network of people that opened up a lot of opportunities for me. And from there, same with that network I had built, I got access to the job opportunities that has led me to where I am with Phoenix and Cap Table Coalition. And that for me, that really ties back with the mission of Cap Table Coalition, right? For a lot of underrepresented investors that have worked really hard to get where they are, but just via the circumstances of their network, where they were born, their experiences, they don't have access to the same networks that will give them access to the exclusive and oversubscribed opportunities that a lot of these traditional investment firms have. And that's really critical for them to get that track record that they need in order to, raise funds from LPs.
Excellent. So can you talk about Phoenix itself? Because I know that's a part of the origin story. Can you share with the audience a little bit more about the startup Phoenix you work for, and also how did you how did you syndicate that, or how did the first initiative to invite people into the round happen?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to quickly touch on it, Phoenix is a payments infrastructure company, and they're really on a mission to create the most accessible financial services ecosystem in history. So it's pretty exciting, and to do so, we're building the global operating system for fintech, and we're starting with payments. But more than that, the CEO of Phoenix, Richie Serna, is an incredibly mission-driven person, and partially inspired by the Act One ventures by Alejandro Guerrero that you mentioned before. That was really focused on asking venture capitalists, to co-invest alongside underrepresented investors. But Richie Serna, he found himself in a position with a founder where he wanted to push it from his end, right? So he decided to commit 10% of his round to exclusively Black and Latinx investors. And so that was really monumental and great, because the round was filled by, top tier VCs, and as an underrepresented investor, to say you co-invested alongside them is incredible for your own track record whenever you do raise from LPs. But anyways, after that, the round was about 3 million in size, but we found 10 million in demand. So there's a ton of appetite from underrepresented investors to, participate in these exclusive opportunities. And on the other side of the coin, just via, Richie's network, a lot of other founders were excited to do the same, but they just didn't have the access to the network or really know about the processes of how to go about, setting up an SPV and bringing in all the, investors in. So we really found ourselves in that unique position where we could really bridge the gap between the two. And from there, we sprung up the Cap Table Coalition with really an MVP focus of, really connecting founders with investors and, focusing on getting that deal flow going.
Excellent. And how did, in terms of after that first syndication was done for the deals, can you talk a little bit more about, why do you feel this is important to get more, you have, these very competitive rounds, why should, it really starts with founders, but why should founders make specific allocations for underrepresented investors?
Yeah. So, diversity on cap tables is great for representation, but, our mission is really much more than, representation. It's about helping, historically marginalized groups build their track records and get attribution for their work, so they can start building that generational wealth and changing the face of capital in the United States. And more broadly, we really believe that this will allow more money and more time to be invested back into Black and Latinx and other underestimated communities, and encourage new startups and new founders and new technology from there that just historically has been, ignored or forgotten or, passed by. So we're really confident about these downstream impacts, that they'll really increase the number of startups, founders, and board members from underrepresented groups and change the face of Silicon Valley and technology forever. And we really think this community building approach of creating track record, of giving opportunities to deals and investments is really one of the biggest barriers to become, your own investment firms and fundraise for LPs. So we're really excited about what we're doing.
Excellent. So how, even some emerging fund managers, many that are a part of the RBL1 network, you guys syndicated 16 million in 100 days. How did you do that? What's some of the tactics, advice you have for other underrepresented and aspiring fund managers that are building also building pathways and creating funds?
So I'd say join the Cap Table Coalition so you can get access to our deal flow and get access to our community as well. The way we were able to raise 16 million is because our communities do have a lot of money and they really are looking to invest. The money is there. The problem is the access to the opportunities and the access to the network. It's just really not there yet. And I think we're really at the, the precipice of, creating and growing it to become something big. And that's what we're doing, Capital Coalition, right? Building that network so people can start beginning to get to know one another and invest in those opportunities. Yeah, so I really think it's a network. It's about building that network.
And then what, in terms of next steps and the vision for where you guys want to take it, this started as as an initiative, out of Phoenix. You're kind of managing and keeping a lot of this. Is this its own fund? Is it like what life is Cap Table Coalition going to take on? What's the real vision?
Yeah. So right now we're in MVP, right? About getting deal flow, making it as simple, as hands-free for everyone as possible. And I can talk about the process and how simple into a science we've gotten it down to. Thinking about next steps, it's about continuing to grow our community, continuing to get more deal flow coming in, continuing to get more, VC partners joining in this mission. Just on average, we're funding about a deal a week. So there's always something in the pipeline for us, and we want more. In the last 40 days, just the last 40 days, we've had 100 new investors join us, 13 more startups sign up to go through the process, and a host of VCs that are continuing to reach out to me on how to get involved, how to do more. So that really shows our momentum. There's a lot of demand for this. People want more. So we're just working to keep it up, keep maintaining the demand, keep up going deal flow. In terms of kind of where we'll head after that, I think there's lots of different approaches, and we're not quite sure yet, but I think it'll be very much guided by the community and what the community needs.
And can you share a little bit more about how do you select the opportunities for the community?
Yeah, so I try, and Phoenix generally tries to, get us out of the process. So what we do is all the opportunities come to me or, Cap Table Coalition. I'll pass it on to our investment committee, which is composed of about 24 individuals, Black and Latinx investors that are working at top leading investment firms or leading their own firms, people that have a lot of experience deploying institutional capital. If a single one of these people gives a thumbs up on a deal and thinks that's a good deal based on their own experience, from that point on, we'll share it with our wider community, and that's when we'll set up the SPV and sign a wire from there.
Excellent. So in terms of next steps for folks that are, can you share a little bit more about how founders and investors can get involved?
Yeah. I'll start with investors because that one's really easy. Go on our website, captablecoalition.com, click on the investor community tab and click sign up. From there, you'll start receiving emails from me about all our deal flow. You'll have access to join the webinar, and then from there you can sign a wire. I think something really special about us is that we try to make this as accessible as possible. So there's no minimum in checks. We've been able to have a $500 check come in. So we try to remove as many barriers as possible. And that's all it really takes from a investor. We don't have any requirements for you. On the side of the founders, we try to streamline the process as much as possible for you. It's really broken it down to about 4 steps. Number 1, plan out your timeline. Set up when you want to bring us in, when you want to bring in underrepresented investors. After you've found your lead, typically for us, we've been able to get it down to 4 weeks at a comfortable pace, but you can do more, you can do less, depending on the dynamics and the speed of your round. Second of all, make sure to tell your team, make sure you have your team, your co-founders bought in, make sure that you have board approval if you do need it. Third, decide how much of your round you want to commit to underrepresented investors. For the Cap Table Coalition pledge and to get access to our community, we ask a minimum of 10% of your round. And then finally, the 4th step, once you're ready to get connected with our community, send me an email pitch. And from there, I'll send it to the investment committee. And then from there, we'll set up a webinar so you can get to know our community, and our community can get to know you. And then from there, we'll set up the SPV for you and sign in wire. So we really got it down to science, try to make it as simple and painless as possible for everyone.
Great. That's great. Amazing. So thank you very much. Cenobio. For everyone watching, this is Cenobio Hernandez, business development at Phoenix, and also one of the investors and advisors at Cap Table Coalition. So thanks again for sharing the story and tonight. And for those that are watching, please tune in next week for more on RBL1 Live. So thanks again, Cenobio.